when I tell you we had a slogan, Christian Youth Building a New World. And I had a speech that I used to make and would always conclude with, we're Christian youth building a new world. Come join us. We really believed that we could make a difference. The American Youth Act, young people who came to Washington and protested and did all the things that we did, bolstered and strengthened by people like Eleanor Roosevelt. We came to feel that we could make a difference, and we worked at it. And while there might have been others who were off playing bridge, we were always developing strategies or appearing before the city council or working out our little messages and sending them to Congress, or, as with the anti-lynching, setting up youth who wore armbands around 42nd Street. And the NAACP would put out a sign saying a man was lynched today. And when they did that, as that flag was put over Fifth Avenue, we would take our group from Harlem and go down to Times Square and legally stay within bounds, but walk around with black armbands on, and we would chant, "Stop the lynching, stop the lynching." That's all we would do, so that we learned how to protest nonviolently, but with a steady stream of action. And we had a full calendar of things to do because Harlem was so rich in its culture, but very poor. And I was put into the Department of Welfare, into the Personnel Department in 1935 by the work of a Harlem Citizens Committee headed by Reverend John Johnson of St. Martin's Church. And that Citizens Committee recognized that 8% of the population of New York City at that time was black, and they were 42% of the relief rolls. And that was the size of the unemployment. And when the community disrupted and all that happened, and they selected two people, Ann Arnold Hitchman to go into the commissioner's office, and I went into the personnel office, so that even my work put me on the firing line. Do you see what I mean? So that I was always in the middle of it. And I had earned that place by working in a district office in Brooklyn, where the district supervisor put me in charge of dealing with the unemployed council. And if you could imagine every day having crowds of people come into the reception room and protest and give you a list of things to do, and I had to trot and see what I could do with them. But the most important thing I learned was how to work with them. And even when they wanted something that I could not deliver, I tried to help them understand that. And so I had a working relationship. And it was the woman in that district office who recommended me to the borough as a special investigator, so that I was investigating fraud and all of those kinds of things. And out of that, they grew up into the personnel office, so that I've never had easy jobs. I mean, I was right in the middle of the whole thing, and that also was what made me know that I had to get out of the public system and do something where I could be more effective in changing the conditions that made that work necessary.
You like being on the firing line, don't you?
Yes. Well, if it is, I don't like to, I don't mess around. I don't like to be in something where you're just stewing and letting off anger and so forth. And I think people sometimes mistake that and think that, I'm timid or that I am, very too quiet. I've been told that, but this is the way I am. And I believe something that in 1937, the same year that I met Mrs. Bethune, I was also at a conference in England, and John McMurray said to us as we were leaving, we were working on the Christian faith and the economic order and how you bring about change. It was a world conference of the churches, and I was one of the youth delegates at that time. And he said to us at that time, as you go forward, be radical in what you do, but don't try to be a radical. He said there's no one so tired as a tired radical. You need to stay at it, work for radical change, but stay with it. And that to me was, a life-directing moment. And I have tried to work in that way, to be steady on a course, and not just jumping up and down, not saying everything you think, but getting some way to say, what can I do that will make this better?